Your dog will forgive you in 30 seconds. Your cat? She already has a list. And before Team Cat starts defending their fur babies, we're not doing the usual dogs are loyal, cats are independent conversation. We are going way deeper. Quoixt, neurochemistry, oxytocin, attachment theory, the actual measurable science. War of how much your pet loves you, and whether that love is even the same thing between species. Buckle up. This one gets surprisingly emotional. Here's the question that started all of this. A 2019 survey found over 85 million households in the US own a pet. And the number one thing people say, he loves me, or she knows when I'm sad. But here's the uncomfortable follow-up nobody asks. How do we actually know that? Because love, real attachment, isn't something you can see on a pet's face. Or can you? This is where animal psychology gets genuinely fascinating, and honestly, a little mind-blowing. Dogs and cats have co-evolved alongside humans for thousands of years, but they did it completely differently. Dogs were invited into human society. Cats, famously, invited themselves. And that distinction in evolutionary history has produced two animals that express and process attachment in ways that are almost opposites of each other. Tweet, but both of which may be saying the same thing. Today, we're going to run the same test on both species. We'll look at the hormone data, the behavioral studies, and the neurological evidence. And by the end, I'm going to give you a science-backed answer, not a feel-good dodge. Fair warning, though. The answer is going to make both Team Dog and Team Cat feel smug and a little humbled. Let's start with the dogs, because honestly, they've been waiting patiently this whole time. Picture, and your dog loses his entire mind, tail like a helicopter rotor, body wiggling so hard his back legs can't keep up with his front legs. A sound somewhere between a whine, a howl, and pure, unfiltered joy. He doesn't care that you forgot to buy his favorite treats. He doesn't care that you were in a terrible mood this morning. Mampobo, you are back. And that is the only fact that matters. Now, this is exactly what neuroscientist Dr. Gregory Berns at Emory University set out to answer, and his method was extraordinary. He trained dogs, actual, real domestic dogs, to sit still inside an MRI machine. No sedation, completely voluntary. And then he scanned their brains while presenting them with different stimuli: the smell of strangers, the smell of other dogs, and the smell of their owner. The results were striking. When dogs detected the scent of their owner, the caudate nucleus, the brain region most associated with positive anticipation and reward, lit up more strongly than for any other stimulus, including food. Read that again. More than food. In a dog's brain, you are more rewarding than dinner. But to suggest they weren't just reacting to a reward, they were anticipating a social bond. That's a meaningful neurological distinction. It suggests dogs don't just want good things from you. They want you specifically. Now let's layer the chemistry on top of that. She measured oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, the same chemical released between mothers and newborns, in both dogs and their owners after a period of mutual gazing. Just eye contact, nothing else. After 30 minutes of looking into each other's eyes, oxytocin levels in the dogs spiked by 57.2%. The gaze loop alone was creating a hormonal bonding cycle, the same one that binds human parents to their children. Here's the evolutionary kicker. Wolves, the wild ancestors of dogs, do not do this. They find prolonged eye contact threatening. Somewhere, they evolved to use it as a bonding tool. They rewired their own neurology to plug into ours. And then there's the behavior that seals the deal. When a dog is frightened or stressed, what does he do? He looks for his owner. Researchers call this the secure base effect, a concept borrowed from human attachment theory. In study after study, dogs use their human as a safe harbor. Remove the human, and the dog's stress response skyrockets. Return the human, and it resets almost immediately. Dogs, in the language of psychology, are anxiously attached to us. They need us the way children need caregivers, and they will spend the rest of their lives making sure we know it. So, is that love? That depends on how you define love. But by every measurable, biochemical, behavioral indicator we have, dogs are broadcasting something that looks, smells, and functions exactly like it. Now, let's go to the other side of the room, where a cat is sitting, watching all of this, deeply unimpressed. Let me tell you what love looks like in a cat. It doesn't run to the door. It doesn't wag. It might not even look up from the windowsill when you walk in. But here's what it does do. Hours later, when the house is quiet and you're sitting on the couch exhausted, it walks over. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't perform. It simply sits on you, or near you, and starts to purr. That's it. That's the whole show. And for years, scientists, many of whom, candidly, had dogs, assumed this meant cats were emotionally detached. Asocial, basically solitary animals who tolerated humans for the food and warmth. That assumption has been systematically dismantled over the last decade. In 2019, behavioral scientist Dr. Kristen Vitale at Oregon State University published a landmark study in Current Biology. She adapted the classic Ainsworth-Strange situation test, a foundational attachment study originally designed for human infants and later used with dogs, and applied it to cats for the first time. The setup. A cat enters an unfamiliar room with its owner. The owner leaves. The cat is alone for 2 minutes. The owner returns. Researchers observe and measure the cat's behavior throughout. The results upended the dominant narrative. 8% of cats showed a secure attachment bond with their owner, meaning they used the human as a safe base, explored more confidently when the owner was present, and calmed more quickly upon reunion. This number is statistically identical to secure attachment rates in human infants, 65%, and very close to dogs at 58%. Let that sit for a moment. Cats are bonding to their owners at the same rate as human babies bond to their mothers. But, and this is the key difference, cats express it on their own terms. A securely attached cat doesn't panic when you leave. It doesn't dissolve into separation anxiety. It just waits, with dignity. Dr. Vitale's team noted something even more telling. When cats do show affection, it's chosen. Cats have higher social autonomy than dogs. Their nervous system was never rewired for dependency the way a dog's was. So when a cat does choose to sit on you, rub its face on your chin, slow blink at you from across the room, it is doing so from a position of complete freedom. Now let's talk about the chemistry, because this is where it gets genuinely surprising. British veterinary researcher Dr. Daniel Mills conducted a study directly comparing cortisol, the stress hormone, levels in cats and dogs when separated from their owners. Dogs, as expected, showed elevated cortisol levels in their owner's absence. They were measurably stressed. Cats? Their cortisol levels barely moved. Team Dog is reading that as confirmation. See? Cats don't care. But hold on, because there's a second interpretation, and it's actually the more sophisticated one. Cats have been shown to self-regulate their stress responses more efficiently than dogs. Their lack of cortisol spike may not mean they don't notice you're gone. It may mean they are psychologically resilient enough not to fall apart when you leave. That's not indifference. That's emotional regulation. And there's one more piece of behavior that Team Cat owners will immediately recognize: the slow blink. If a cat meets your eyes and slowly closes and reopens them, that is, according to Dr. Tasman Humphrey's research at the University of Sussex, a deliberate trust signal. In cat body language, that gesture says, "I am not a threat to you, and I trust you are not a threat to me." It's the feline equivalent of a smile, a chosen moment of vulnerability. Cats don't love loudly. They love precisely. So, who loves you more? Here's what the science actually says, and I promised you a real answer, so here it is. Dogs love you more demonstratively. The neurochemistry is louder. The behavioral signals are constant and hard to miss. Their entire evolutionary arc has been pointed toward you. In measurable oxytocin response, dogs outperform cats, and the Nagasawa study even showed dogs outperform wolves in this regard. If love were a volume dial, dogs are turned to 11 all the time. But cats love you more deliberately. Their attachment rates match human-infant bonding. Their affection is not reflexive. It is chosen every single time. When a cat slow blinks at you, rubs its cheek glands on your hands, needs your lap, it is performing an act that requires it to override its default solitary instincts. The fact that it chooses you, unprompted and unpressured, may actually carry more informational weight than a dog's constant devotion. Think of it this way. A dog's love is like a song that plays on repeat. Always there, impossible to miss, genuinely beautiful. A cat's love is like a song that only plays at specific, unrepeatable moments. Quiet, easy to overlook, but when you hear it, you know it means something. Neither is more love. They are different architectures of the same thing. What science cannot measure, and what determines everything, is which architecture you are wired to receive. Whether you're team dog or team cat, here's what I want you to take away from this. Right now, somewhere in your home, your pet is aware of you. Not in the way another human is aware of you. Not with language, not with memory of yesterday's argument or tomorrow's plans. Just pure, present awareness. You are a scent, a sound, a warmth, a pattern they have memorized because you matter to them. Your dog is waiting for the moment you look up from your phone. Your cat already knows what kind of day you had by the way you walked through the door. Neither of them will ever tell you this out loud, but the science says it. The hormones say it. 15,000 years of shared evolution says it. They love you in exactly the language they were built to speak. All right, now I want to hear from you. We've got the science. We've got the data. But at the end of the day, which kind of love hits harder for you personally? Drop a comment right now. Type Team Dog if you want the love that shows up every single day, loud and relentless. Type Team Cat if you want the love that chose you quietly when it didn't have to. There are no wrong answers. There is only your answer, and I genuinely want to read every single one. And if this video sparked something in you, wait until the next video. Because episode 2 is asking a question that might be even more controversial than this one. Dogs versus cats. Who is actually smarter? And why you're asking the wrong question. Hint: one species is consistently better at solving problems. The other species decided that was your job. See you there.